Media Blossom, I'm Ava J, and this is Bookish Pixie. So far, I've read 18 books this year, which means I'm currently on track to reach my goal of reading 70 books this year, and all the reading has been awesome. And because I've been doing so much reading, I thought it'd be fun to talk about some of the books I've read semi-recently that I've really enjoyed. So here we go on the book rec vlog. First up, Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. So imagine Ocean's 11 in the Grisha world with a badass, super diverse crew, and you've got Six of Crows. There are so many things I loved about this book, from the really incredibly smart plot to all the twisty stuff at the end, and it was just a really interesting but also super fun book. Something I especially loved is that Kaz, who is one of the main characters and is basically the mastermind / leader of the crew, is disabled. You very rarely see disabled characters in fantasy or adventure type settings, but Kaz not only struggles with his disability in a way that's real, with both his PTSD and the physical disability that makes it difficult for him to walk, and I just really loved seeing some disability representation in fantasy. Not only that, but this book is beautiful. It has black edges, which is like amazing. And the interior design is beautiful. I mean, just look at this map. It is just so pretty. I can't tell you how many times while I was reading, I stopped just to admire how beautiful the interior design is, because this book is gorgeous. Anyway, second is Sword and Verse by Cathy McMillan. Sword and Verse is about Raysa, who is an Arnath from the Northern Islands. And before the book begins, she is taken from her home and brought to Kilara. And in Kilara, language is fiercely protected, and only the monarchs and tutors who teach future monarchs are allowed to learn how to read and write. So shortly after the book begins, Raysa is chosen as a replacement tutor after the previous tutor is executed for helping the Arnath slaves start a rebellion against the Kilaran government. So eventually, Raysa has to choose between helping her people who are rebelling against the government at great personal risk, or decide with Prince Madi, who is the next king and who she befriends, or more than befriends. What was especially interesting to me was there was a lot of background mythology on the gods, but in this book they play a direct role in the plot, and it was a really fun twist. Third is On the Edge of Gone by Corinne Doivas. On the Edge of Gone is about an autistic biracial girl facing the literal end of the world. It takes place in Amsterdam, which is where the author is from, and it basically leads up to and is everything after a massive comet strikes Earth and basically obliterates everything. Everything is filtered from Denise's point of view, and Denise is autistic. This is an Own Voices book because the author is also autistic, so we know that this is an authentic representation. Not only has it just been really great to read an Own Voices book with an autistic protagonist, but it has just been a really great book because it's interesting and exciting and there's a ton of tension, and I really need to know whether or not Denise and her family survives. So I look forward to finishing this one. Fourth is The Girl from Everywhere by Heidi Heilig. The Girl from Everywhere is about Nyx, who is a time-traveling pirate. She, her father, and their crew can travel time and space through maps. If they have a map of a place, even if it's a fantasy place, they can travel there, though only once through that map. And Nyx's father is obsessed with going back to 1868 Honolulu, Hawaii, which is where he met Nyx's mother. The problem is, by going back to 1868 Honolulu, Hawaii, her father is risking that Nyx might not be born, because if he changes their past, we don't know what will happen to Nyx. It's a really wonderful book that tackles hard topics like addiction, and it is just a really unique fantasy that I totally loved. Bonus, this is another really pretty book. From the cover to the interior design, which is super pretty, to the maps that are actually spread out throughout the book, because as they travel through a map, you get the map like right before that chapter. So really cool, very pretty, super recommended. And finally, A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. A Darker Shade of Magic follows Kel, who is a traveler and can travel between parallel Londons, and is one of the last two magical beings left who can do so. It was so fascinating to see what the different Londons were like, from their physical differences to their access of magic to what the people were like, etc. Plus, I just really loved like every single character in this book, even the antagonists. One of my favorite characters is Delilah Bard, who is a gender-fluid thief, and she is awesome. I don't think I've ever connected with a character quite as much as I did with Delilah Bard. And by the way, this recommendation for an adult fantasy is coming from someone who doesn't usually read adult fantasies, because I don't usually like them very much, but this was a definite exception. What books have you guys been reading lately? Let me know in the comments below. So that's all I got for today. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to subscribe and comment, and I'll see you guys next week.